Russia attacked NATO last night. Nearly 19 Russian drones violated Polish airspace during Moscow's largest air assault of the war, of their illegal invasion of Ukraine. At least 3 or 4 were shot down by Polish and NATO aircraft, and debris fell across eastern Poland, damaging homes and forcing airports, including Warsaw's Chopin International Airport, to close, as shown here. And this is an image from a home damaged by a Russian drone in Poland. And here, footage allegedly showing a Russian drone being shot down over Polish skies. And these Russian drones managed to get hundreds of kilometers into Poland. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has declared that this is the most dangerous moment for Europe since the Second World War. Warsaw has now invoked Article 4 of the NATO treaty, demanding urgent consultations among the allies. And here you can see Polish troops are moving towards the Belarusian border, and the Polish reserve has been called up. European leaders have rushed to signal solidarity with Poland, while Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy warned this incursion is an extremely dangerous precedent for Europe. And he has offered air defense assistance to Poland, despite the fact that most of the 410 drones and 50 missiles that Russia launched last night were aimed at his country. As for the Americans, at the time of recording, so far we have silence. So the question is now unavoidable. What can Europe do? This is a Dictators v Democrats special report. If you enjoy this work, go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit the bell. It really helps this channel grow. Now, I've already spoken about a proposal. Back on the 28th of May this year, I wrote an article making the case for a solution, something that Europe could do decisively and fast. It's a Ukrainian proposal called SkyShield, or the Integrated Air Protection Zone. And what I argued then feels even more urgent today after last night's attack on Poland. Back then, I'd just left Ukraine. I was writing the article in Rzeszów in Poland. And for 3 nights straight, while I was in Kyiv, explosions echoed without pause. Missiles, machine gun fire, and the irritating whine of Shahed drones. And I stood at the window of the hotel I was staying at in central Kyiv. I know, not a great idea, but I'm a journalist and I have to witness these things. And I felt the shockwaves punch through my chest and realized, of course, nobody in the city was sleeping. And it's only gotten worse since then, and now a direct provocation against NATO. Be in no doubt that the attacks against Poland were deliberate. 1 drone would be a mistake, 2 a blunder, 3 a serious error. 19 can be nothing but deliberate. This is a test. Russia is seeing how far they can go, and they've done this before. In 2015, Turkey shot down a Russian jet encroaching on their territory from Syria. And they haven't tried anything since. And Europe is under constant Russian assault. War these days isn't the Third Shock Army rolling into Germany. It's ammunition warehouses being blown up, incendiary devices being put on cargo planes, nerve agents being used to poison people on our territory. Political warfare, and Europe is under attack. And we need to follow the Turkish line and punch the Russians on the nose. Like all bullies, that's the only language they really understand. But that brings us to the proposal itself, a way for Europe to act decisively and to punch the Russians on the nose while defending ourselves and helping our allies in Ukraine. As for the Americans, at the moment, forget them. Trump will not help us beyond selling Europe weapons at a profit. So we are on our own, but we have the capacity to defend ourselves. Be in no doubt about that. The proposal is simple. European allies would fly combat air patrols in uncontested Ukrainian airspace. Their mission would be to intercept Shahed or Geran drones and cruise missiles before they reach their targets. No NATO boots on Ukrainian soil, and no dogfights with Russian jets. Take a look at this map here. This is the proposal in essence. The green area is where Allied jets would operate, covering much of western Ukraine and, crucially, most Ukrainian nuclear power plants. Russia has shown that it is willing to attack Ukrainian nuclear facilities. Earlier this year, a drone hit Chernobyl's sarcophagus. The green area is completely unreachable for manned Russian jets. Ukrainian air defense shoots them down well before they can reach that zone. And the yellow area that you can see will be left to the Ukrainians. Russian jets occasionally make incursions into this area, but it is very, very dangerous for them, and they often do get shot down. Reaching the green zone, basically impossible. And there is significant precedence for this. NATO already conducts air policing over the Baltics. NATO and Russian aircraft operated in parallel in the same airspace in Syria where goals were opposite and no attacks from air to air took place. And earlier this year, US and allied aircraft helped Israel shoot down Iranian missiles that were headed to them. None of those have escalated into direct conflict. And SkyShield asks for 120 allied fighter jets and support aircraft operating from European bases. The EU and UK alone have more than enough air power, and as I said earlier, US involvement is not required. The benefits to this would be immense. We'd free up Ukrainian troops and pilots for the front lines, protect power plants and infrastructure, secure nuclear facilities inside the proposed zone, and save Ukrainian civilian lives. And finally, we'd be showing real strength, showing the Russians that we will not put up with their political warfare against Europe and punishing them for their warmongering. And the legal basis exists. The Convention on Assistance in the case of nuclear accident or radiological emergency. Given the presence of 3 nuclear facilities within the green zone, there's a strong case that allied nations will be assisting Ukraine in mitigating a radiological emergency. In the UN Convention of the Law of the Sea, SkyShield would preserve lawful maritime activity. Ukrainian grain exports are vital for feeding much of the world. And the Chicago Convention on International Civil Aviation. SkyShield is a legitimate defensive measure with full Ukrainian consent. One of its goals is to reopen civilian air corridors that have been closed since 2022 and were closed in Warsaw last night. And of course, Article 51 of the UN Charter, the right to self-defense. The article explicitly states that nothing in the UN Charter shall impair the inherent right to individual or collective self-defense if an armed attack were to occur. The drones that entered Poland and have been confirmed to be Russian are weapons. This was an armed attack as defined under Article 51. And the cost, can Europe afford this? Well, let's work it out with some AI-assisted research. And as with all AI stuff, take it with a pinch of salt. Fighter aircraft operations, between $500 million to $1 billion annually. Airborne early warning systems, about $1.5 billion annually. Aerial refueling, again $1.5 billion annually. Personnel costs, $500 million. Intelligence and surveillance, $300 million to $700 million. Electronic warfare, $200 million to $500 million. Cyber, $150 million to $400 million. And base operations costs and infrastructure, $250 million to $500 million. Let's round it to $10 billion US dollars a year to run. This is eminently affordable. Europe can afford this, spread across all of Europe's budgets. And it's practical. All of our air forces have significant experience working together. Last night, Italian tankers refueled Dutch F-35 fighter jets operating within Polish airspace to shoot down these Russian drones. In short, SkyShield is legal, proportional, affordable, and humanitarian. It's Europe's chance to prove to the Russians that when Russia tries to bring terror to Europe's skies, as they did last night, Europe answers without hesitation. Now, after Poland's airspace was violated, or should I say, Poland was attacked, the urgency is clearer than ever. The Russians are prepared to spend billions killing Ukrainians, and they're clearly willing to show that they want to do the same to Europeans. And we need to get serious. We need to punish Russia and protect our democracy. And we don't want to have to do this. We and I would rather live in peace and spend our taxpayers' money on schools, hospitals, infrastructure, technology, science. But Russia, in its mad dog imperialist aggression, will not allow it. So it's time for Europe to show some teeth and implement SkyShield. This will both punish Russia and protect ourselves and Ukrainians. If we do not respond to this aggression, then it will happen again and again and again. Because as I said earlier, Russia is a classic bully. And if they see weakness, they will attack. But if we punch them in the damn face, then they will turn tail. We can do it. We must do it. Because our democracy is non-negotiable. If you are a European and you do happen to be watching this, well then, thank you. And I would urge you to write to your political representatives immediately, calling on them to take the integrated air protection zone seriously and to raise Europe's shields. Thank you.